Joining me for the global conversation from Davos is Andrzej Duda, the President of Poland. Thank you so very much for being here. We are getting close to the 24th of February, the date that would mark 1 year since Russia's full-scale invasion into Ukraine. Poland has been at the forefront in so many aspects during this year. I want to ask you, how has Poland changed during this year?
Poland has changed a lot. Poles spontaneously drove to the border, opened their homes, came in their cars, took refugees, those who were fleeing the war, those who had taken refuge in Poland. As many times as I am in Ukraine, as many times as I meet defenders of Ukraine, soldiers, commanders, as many times I say, listen, fight calmly, defend the state, fight against Russian aggression. Your wives, your children, your mothers, your sisters who have come to us, to Poland, are safe. Today, the Ukrainian language can be heard everywhere in Poland, in every public institution, in every shop, on the tram, on the bus, on the street, everywhere. This is our reality today. We live together, we feel good together. We are, one could say, two friendly or even brotherly nations. And for us, in terms of military security, it is a great demonstration, not only to us as a society, but also to the whole world, that independence, freedom, is not given once and for all, that independence can be lost as a result of aggression. A free, sovereign, independent country has been brutally attacked. The brutal Russian invader destroys houses, fires missiles at civilian settlements, kills people. This is a huge shock to the world. For us, all the more mobilization to strengthen our security.
Do you think these calls for stronger security and more security concerns will be reinforced after you speak at Davos and after this message being so loud here at the World Economic Forum?
The truth is that this economic forum, which has always had this kind of mostly economic profile, today is hugely dominated by security issues. Of course, this security is not only observed through a purely military prism. We do, of course, talk about the fact that Ukraine needs to be supported and that it is essential to send arms to Ukraine all the time if it is to defend itself and fend off Russian aggression. This is why we spoke so much yesterday about the Polish initiative to send Leopard tanks to Ukraine, so that, as part of allied aid from various countries, we could gather together these Leopard tanks and create at least an armoured brigade for Ukraine. We're also talking about energy security. We're talking about Europe's energy independence. And we're talking about the fact that Russian policy, as we now all see, was brutally designed and aimed at domination over Europe, hence Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. This is also the reason for our Polish protests against Nord Streams, as we saw in it a path to Russian hegemony in the European energy market in terms of gas. We have been diversifying gas supplies in Poland for years because we saw the danger. Unfortunately, our warnings were ignored. That's why today we're talking in Davos about building energy security with our heads held high, because we have been doing it for a long time.
There are lots of warnings that have been voiced by Poland in the past when it comes to energy security, when it comes to economy dependency, when it comes to the whole security situation. And how do you think the war in Ukraine has changed Europe's geopolitical security dynamics for Poland and Eastern European countries?
Firstly, something that certainly surprised Putin and the Russian aggressors. Unity, the unity of the European Union, the unity of NATO. Something that has not been so clearly present until now, because the Russians did not encounter such unity either in 2008, when they attacked Georgia, or in 2014, when they actually attacked Ukraine for the first time. Now they've collided with a wall of unity from the European side and from the North Atlantic Alliance. Secondly, this war has also shown that there is no security today really without close Euro-Atlantic or transatlantic ties, that the United States plays a huge role when it comes to building this European security. Today, the biggest aid to Ukraine is from the United States. I'm very proud as President of Poland because we are in absolutely a leading position as far as this military aid to Ukraine is concerned. For this military aid, we've already spent over $2.3 billion. So for us, it's a huge expense and a huge sacrifice, but we know that we're doing it to build the security of our part of Europe. And we're doing it, and we will continue to do it.
We have seen the EU not expanding much over the past years. Is this also something to rethink, including Ukraine, including Moldova, and other countries that could be there in Europe joining the bloc?
We Poles are in favour of an open policy to both the European Union and NATO. Why? Among other things, because we ourselves once experienced this policy. If we're supporters of democracy in the best sense of the word, then it's the nations that have the right to decide whether they belong. It's nations that have the right to decide in which direction they want their states to go, in which direction they want their regimes to go. If the Ukrainians, our neighbours, want to belong to the European Union, if they want to belong to NATO, if the same is true of the people of Moldova, if the same is true of the people of Georgia, they have the right to do so. This war shows that that is what Putin does not accept. This is what Putin, with his authoritarian character, with his will to enslave other nations and his own society, is trying to take away from the Ukrainians, to take away this opportunity, to take away their freedom, to take away their opportunity to belong to the communities of the West, to NATO, to the European Union. We can never agree to this. Today, Volodymyr Zelensky expects concrete steps from NATO.
After almost 80 years of peace in Europe, the war is back in the continent. In the bigger picture, how can the current generations avoid the repeat of the past tragedies from the point of view of Poland?
First of all, Russia must be stopped. This is why today we, as the free world, should support Ukraine with all our strength, including supporting it militarily. But on the other hand, the war crimes must be punished. The whole world must see that we do not let go of the crimes committed by the Russians in Ukraine, that the perpetrators of the crimes are held criminally responsible. It was Russia that invaded Ukraine without any reason, and the punishment it should suffer for this should be absolutely severe.
President, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you very much. Dziękuję.